taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or Web Bank. Terms apply. Subject to approval.
May 3rd, 2013. It is 9 o'clock on the West Coast, Matt on the East Coast. This is the Sackheads Radio Show.
Friday came early this week.
Friday came really early this week.
This was a really fast week.
Well, you know what? It's the holiday, having that extra day off. It kind of screws everything up. So it feels like it's Thursday, but it's actually Friday.
So we're actually doing this show on Wednesday because of the extra day.
With the extra day, and then don't forget about leap year.
Okay, and then did you carry the 4?
Twice.
Nice.
Then I divided by 0, and I don't know what the hell happened. Something just went dramatically.
What is that blazer
wrong.
You're wearing? You look like Lerner.
You like it?
Hey Lois, how you doing? What is that? We don't dress for this show ever.
Why shouldn't I dress up?
You have a great sport coat over in a Millennium Falcon t-shirt, which, by the way, very nice.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I get a lot of compliments on this one. It's amazing how many people pay attention. I've gotten 2 compliments today alone on it.
And you were with me getting coffee when I got the compliment on my shirt from Tommy Boy.
Absolutely.
Of
the
course.
Tommy Boy shirt.
Yeah.
Callahan Motors Auto Parts.
We pretty much nailed it tonight, I think.
You know, when it comes to really cool dressing, we don't do it.
No, but our
when it
shirts
comes
are
to
pretty
nerd
cool.
stuff,
Yeah.
when it comes to nerd stuff, people are all over it. So, different things to talk about this week. We're going to talk about Obamacare. We're going to talk about Holder. We're going to talk about, if you own a gun and you live in California, good luck with that. Let's see.
We're going to talk about Colorado, because if you voted for gun control laws, a couple of you may be in trouble.
Yeah, or more than a couple. And from what I understand, there's a big independent movement behind that, too, from what I've read briefly. A lot of the independents.
It's AstroTurf.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
No, I'm sure Pistol Grip will think so.
Pistol Grip thinks everything's AstroTurf. She doesn't even know what AstroTurf is. She just
do you think she has a Merkin?
Yes.
Okay, which is AstroTurf, I believe, by definition.
Absolutely.
If you don't know what a Merkin is, Google it, because that's a pretty funny joke. Kill me.
I'm sure Pistol Grip wouldn't mind. I have nowhere to go with that. Hey, on our website
Let's call her Merkin.
If you want to dare Joe Biden to do something, you can go to the website, sackheadsradio.com, click on Dare Joe Biden. At TPO himself.
Do we have any good ones that we want to highlight?
We do. TPO himself, who is a huge on Twitter, big conservative, dared Joe to go hunting with Dick Cheney. So I thought that was a good one.
I like that one.
So and then there's a couple other ones on there. So if you want to pull it up, you absolutely can go to sackheadsradio.com and do that. And
add your own.
Add your own, by all means. Please add your own. The more the merrier. Be creative if possible. We will share the best ones we can every week on the show on our Dare Joe Biden segment. And don't forget.
And the picture, by the way, the picture is classic. You know what? Looking at this picture, I dare Joe Biden to invite him back to whatever they're doing, recreate that picture, and lean over and give him a kiss.
Well, the look on the cop's face. Just giving him that look like, why is your damn hand on my knee? And Joe is just so Joe that it's a riot. It's absolutely a great picture. So kudos to Sacco for digging that up somewhere, because I think that's a good one. So SackHeadsRadio.com, phone number for tonight's show, as it is every single week, 347-205-9399. I'm assuming, Clint, you are on the Sackheads Radio website checking the latest Dear Joe Biden.
I am, and this is we have two that are pretty good. That's one is I dare Joe Biden to steal Barack's BlackBerry and send the following text to Kim Jong Un. Quote: "How's my little pumpkin doing today?"
I haven't seen that one. Is there a name attached to that?
No, it says name. And then Larry Craig. I dare Joe Biden to enter the White House bathroom, sit in a stall next to Jay Carney, and send a message by tapping his foot.
So that is outstanding. So there's a bunch of good ones on there already at SackheadsRadio.com. I love that. I haven't seen. That's what happens. Normally, I check fairly regularly. I check our website, but that's.
Oh yeah, because you're the only one that gives us traffic, I think.
That's not true. Everyone in Best Buy does. Clint called me last week while I was out shopping. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Hey, I'm in Best Buy. I'm literally changing every homepage on all the display computers to our website." So.
What's weird is we didn't have a bump at all in traffic, though. So that was kind of odd.
Gary Coleman. I'm sure that we haven't been able to vet that this was actually Gary Coleman, seeing how he's deceased. I dare Joe Biden to stand up in the middle of a cabinet meeting, look Eric Holder directly in the eye, and utter the phrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" All that and more on Sackheads Radio, so check that out. Oh, man, I had no idea. There's a bunch of people. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm still laughing on the house my little pumpkin doing today.
Oh, I like this one, too. And it falls in line with last week's show. This is Don and Afro, Black Panther T-shirt, raises right arm with closed fist and shout, "Kill righty."
Oh, again, all this stuff, Joe could possibly do it.
Oh, I could picture him doing it. He's
There's also another great picture, and when Sacco credited the photo to Heavy.com, you can click here, and it's like top 20 Joe Biden pics.
Did you say HeavyD.com?
No, just Heavy.com.
Okay.
But if you scroll about halfway...
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back. Now, Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress. And you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live full service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or Web Bank. Terms apply. Subject to approval.
Down, it's Joe in a pair of like chino shorts. I think they're dress shoes. No shirt. Cleaning like his 1981 Trans Am. It's all white, but if you look inside the Trans Am in one of the pictures, there's a pack of Winstons, which I didn't even know people smoked Winstons anymore. There's a pack of Winstons sitting up on the center console right by the shifter, and I just figured that epitomized Joe on his day off or while he was working, just out there shirtless, almost a la Oh, what's the girl from the Whitesnake video? I can't remember where she's dancing on the hood of the car. That's
I don't know. The only thing missing in that is like the sunglasses with like the neon colored sides and the black frames.
And one of those slap-on wristbands.
Yes.
Does he ever get old? I mean, Joe is just Joe, man. But it's so easy because, like, with this, when we came up with this Dare Joe Biden little segment of our show, there's not much that you can suggest that you couldn't picture him trying.
Right.
Somewhat to his credit, other times to his insanity. But
I could picture Joe Biden in nothing but a diaper and a pacifier at a rage, waving glow sticks around.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you? That is so outstanding.
So, wow. Interesting week. I want to talk first about the Colorado bid. There's Colorado was they passed this pretty stiff gun control legislation after a war, and there's a big pro Second Amendment group in Colorado, and they actually began recall elections. So all the election offices are actually fairly active right now, and the NRA sent out a political mailer in the area about the recall efforts and so forth, and it looks like it's actually gaining some ground. I mean, we could see some kind of recall from some of the Democrats there who voted for this, the pretty strict laws there, and kind of interesting. There's a group donated $20,000 to the Morse campaign. Out there, he's out there urging voters not to sign petitions. He's the Senate president,
right? Who
helped push this bill through
in Colorado.
And so he's out there, hey, don't sign these petitions. But America Votes, which is a huge progressive organization, donated $20,000 to stop America from voting, which is kind of odd. Because you think with a name like America Votes,
you would want people out there voting.
Want people to vote, unless their thesis is, well, they already voted. But aren't you guys like the whole recall thing? I thought.
Yeah.
I thought
you were down with that. Whenever you didn't like anyone, just get rid of it halfway through and call it a day.
I digress. I don't know much about America Votes.
You digressed for once? Wow.
Did you like that?
Wow. I'm just blown away. I
went to their website, and here's what it said, and they're about America Votes works across the country. But they're not in every state, so they must not be that awesome. With over 300 state and national partner organizations to advance progressive policies, expand access to the ballot, coordinate issue advocacy in election campaigns, and protect every American's right to vote. So why would a group that has that as their mission statement want to stop?
It doesn't meet the agenda that they want to
process.
It doesn't meet the agenda.
Stop making sense.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, we're just dealing with their title and their mission statement.
Well,
it sounds good.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like all those other progressive movements that have cute names,
right?
And they really like MoveOn.org and stuff like that. Where you're like, what you're saying, we want people to be active in politics. We want people to own it for themselves. Blah 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 blah. Right up to the point that we don't agree with you, then we just kind of want you to go away and hide and not
right,
really.
Or be audited, or
be audited. Right. Absolutely. And now they'll know exactly which groups that you donate to and whatnot. So that's important because why shouldn't that know and be released by the IRS? But whatever.
That's a whole. That's right. Not going on. That hasn't happened since Nixon, I'm sure.
Did you say Nixon?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
I don't know. I didn't know. I thought you said I didn't know.
Okay. They have some partners though that are actually pretty mainstream and pretty middle of the road, like AFL-CIO. That's pretty.
What a centrist group.
Right. Planned Parenthood Action Fund.
Oh well, that's another centrist group there.
Progressive Progress Now Action. SEIU.
You listen to that. Read that last one again. Not CIU, the one before that.
Planned Parenthood Action Fund or Progress Now?
Progress Now.
Action.
Right. Now, if that doesn't sound like, hey, you know what? We got to fix things. We really got to get things back to the way they belong.
And not like in a few years.
Now.
But now.
Now. And
Right.
we have to take action.
Yeah.
What a wholesome sounding group that is. They must be all about the Constitution.
Right. Well, their mission is to provide a strong, credible voice in advancing progressive solutions to critical community problems.
It is that key word.
And this is quoting, but we don't do that on our own. We work as a communications team for the entire progressive community.
So kind of, so they're a propaganda media organization.
Yes.
Okay. All right. As long as we
sounds
know
like
where they are, right? It's propaganda. That's cool.
What do you think? You think this recall election is going to go anywhere?
Yeah. I'm sure.
Well, it's already going somewhere. Do you think they're going to see recalls out of this? And do you think it's going to affect other states that are trying to pass strict gun legislation?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about California here in a moment.
Yeah, I think it will. I think even if they recall one of their representatives or senators, if they recall just one, that'll affect other states, because politicians who are self-serving and want to protect themselves and they're more worried about the election than doing the right thing and they have zero principles,
right?
That's going to be a huge benchmark. And they're going to say, whoa, they did it in that state. And especially if you are in one of those districts that has close numbers, if it's 40, 40, and 10 or something like that, 40 left, 40 right, and 10 in the middle, something where it's borderline, where it's easy for you to vote, to lose your votes over one stupid statement or, anything to that effect, then yeah, I think this will affect other states. I would be interested to see because they actually have a few conservative areas in New York, I'd be interested to see if anyone in New York makes that move.
And,
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
We've brought up the whole gun control issue before, and we're on record for where our position is on that. Did you hear about the 911 call up in Oregon?
No, enlighten me.
So there's this area in Oregon where the sheriff's office doesn't patrol at dark. There's no funds.
Right. And
there was a 911 call placed at night. First of all, they tried to get an initiative on the ballot to raise taxes to pay for policing services, and the community said, no, you reprioritize your funding and get it done.
Weird.
Law enforcement is one of the basic services that should be provided.
So they reprioritized, and now there's no law enforcement coverage at night.
Right.
Okay.
Or they just kept doing whatever the hell they were doing, and there's no law enforcement.
It's funny. I saw a list of like 200 things that grant money from the government went to, and I bet you that wasn't on there. I think they investigated like $200,000 for like butterfly species and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm sure that would not have been used well for that. So
good
job again.
Well, Josephine County has 1 sheriff and 3 deputies.
What's her name?
No, Josephine County.
Oh, I thought you said Josephine County. I'm like, why does she need all that protection? She must be super important.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 sheriff, 3 deputies. They serve 80,000 people. And there was a shortage of officers we talked about. And in August, there was an issue where a woman called 911 because her ex-boyfriend, who was violent in the past, was trying to get into her home. She was transferred to the state police because, again, the sheriff's department isn't staffed all night. And the dispatcher says, basically, hey, I don't have anybody to send out there. And then she says, if he comes inside, quoting, if he comes inside the residence and assaults you, can you ask him to go away?
Well, yeah.
So the man was arrested.
Why don't you just call
later.
him ahead of time and ask him not to even show up?
She ended up getting raped by this guy.
Oh, Lord.
And so now I believe there's a lawsuit pending. But we talk about gun. This is kind of a long segue into gun rights. And our opinion is clear on it and kind of how that right has been asserted and what limitations, very little, should be put on that right.
Right.
But this is a prime example. Law enforcement can't always be there, and it's not necessarily law enforcement's job to protect everybody all the time. Look, they respond to calls, and they respond to calls in progress. They respond to calls, things that have already happened, to take a report, whatever it is. They have a very busy traffic accidents. I mean, they have a very busy job. So if you have a crime in progress and those officers are tied up somewhere because of funding cuts or, hey, you know what, you're just not a busy area, whatever the case is, you have multiple things happen at one time, citizens should be able to protect themselves.
Well, even if, let's look at it this way.
I just think this segues into the gun argument.
It certainly does. And let's say that one sheriff, 3 deputies, or whoever, let's say they were all working, and it's a big county. Have you ever tried to get somewhere in a hurry? Even I know they have lights and sirens and all that stuff, but time and distance, you can only go so fast in certain. So you're in a county like that, or you're in a major city that has a lot of, like if you're in New York City at rush hour, traffic jam. If you've ever been in New York City, I've been there. San Francisco, L.A., you have all that traffic, and you're calling for help, and you need help now. There's a delay in time. From the time you call 911 to the time they get that information, we've all heard the calls, before they even send it out, there's a delay. And all that while...
And where are those officers when the call goes out?
Right,
are they on the other end of their area? I mean, and
it's a little bit different, I think, with firefighters and EMT, because you kind of have an idea where they are, because they work out of station.
And they're barbecuing. I drive by the fire stations, and I see them out there, yeah.
No, but you know what I mean? So that's more centralized, so you have an estimate. They could be anywhere, so help's that far away, and you're this poor woman who's like, hey, he's coming. He said he's coming. I need help. Yeah, we have nobody to send you. Ask him to leave. No. You have an officer come out here with a badge and a gun and tell him to leave, or I'm going to need him to tell him to leave. I can't protect myself, or I don't have the means to, for whatever reason. Yes, gun control is a huge argument in that, but let's say you take away all these gun control. The person didn't have the ability to learn to use a firearm yet, couldn't maybe afford one, is one of those people that I agree with. They're like, hey, I personally don't want to own a firearm, but I don't think anyone else should have their rights impeded on that. Either way, there's all these different circumstances where you can't have the sheriff's department or the state police or whoever that was say, yeah, ask him to go away.
But what else are they going to do?
Right.
It's not this dispatcher's fault that there's no money.
I'm not saying it's them.
But so what are they supposed to do? I mean, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And but it's these types of situations why we should. And I'm sure this county is not unique in this country.
I'm sure it's not.
I'm sure there are places that do not have police services available.
You've been in the Midwest,
whatever it is,
just huge. Large areas.
This is why I believe we need to make guns easier to get for law-abiding people.
Absolutely.
And not have those restrictions. Anyways, I thought it was a sad case, and it just kind of illustrates where some of these jurisdictions are financially, and also how the funding is prioritized in some jurisdictions. I mean, what else was being paid for that allowed this? You know what, Mr. Mayor or county supervisors, maybe you take a salary hit to provide police services,
or like
I wanted to bring the gun argument. Just kind of, I didn't mean to get us off track.
You can't tell me that protecting your own citizens is not the most important thing out there.
Well, be careful with that argument, because I don't think it's government's job necessarily to protect us.
But I think when you start talking about,
I think that falls on us. But I think it's their job they have a responsibility to respond to calls for service.
But I'm talking
on
a local level. If you're on a local level and you have your funding and you have to look at, and you have people that depend on you for protection to a point.
For law enforcement services.
Right.
Emergency
fire services, EMTs.
Yes.
Even like sewer guys or gas guys. You have to have a contingency plan. There has to be a priority put in place. And I am sure this is one of those counties that the county capital lawn gets mowed 3 times a week. It's watered nonstop, and I see that especially out here in California. They talk about how, we have no money, we have to cut this, and we're going to cut schools if this, and this, that, and the other thing. But you go to city buildings and they're gorgeous. You go to some state and county buildings and they're gorgeous. And I'm like, well, I understand that you have to have some sort of image. You have to look decent enough, because who wants to? It says a lot about a county when you go into that county office and it looks like hell outside. So, but you could say, hey, we stopped cutting our grass. You could put a sign out for $20. Only cut our grass 2 times a week to save the county money. Because as a taxpayer, if I walked up and saw that, I'd say, hey, you know what? I appreciate that. Even if it saves $200 and that $200 goes to something that is much more important, I get it. So this is a gun control argument that we need to ease these ridiculous gun controls, and people need to be able to defend themselves. But this is also an argument against insane bureaucracy that goes on.
Yeah, because how duplicitous are certain things in this county or state?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it's just like any other county or state where they do the same things with 4 different agencies. And I don't know for sure. I just said that, but
no, but
I mean, this wasn't meant to be a gun control issue, but I mean, it brought it to my mind. This incident came to my mind as we're talking about this gun issues in Colorado recall and so forth, and I want to get to the California initiative also.
Yeah, so California has a whole bunch, and I think the Senate and the Assembly on each side each passed a bill where they're just, I think there's I know a couple weeks ago it was $24 million being put to a...
because California has a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's so weird because every time you see, what's his name there?
Jerry Brown?
Beam,
mm-hmm.
Every time you see him, he's talking about how broke we are and we have to make cuts. And I'm not saying that he's actually been better in a lot of ways, because he has saved some money in places that I never thought he'd actually cut funding.
Yeah, he has.
So I will give him credit there. But to turn around and blow that surplus, or not surplus, but saved money, $24 million for agencies to go to add agents to whatever agency they're going to use to go out and confiscate weapons from people they deem through these laws that they're passing. And that was passed first, which I think it's funny, because now that these more restrictive, and there's an ammunition ID and ammunition tax that you're going to have to pay more money on ammunition. They're limiting, they're essentially trying to outlaw any semi-automatic weapons completely, rifles rather. And there's a couple other ones, and you can read it. I think it's on the State Assembly website and the State Senate website. You can actually get into the nitty-gritty. But they passed the law first to have the people go get the guns before they passed what they were going to outlaw. Which, you want to talk about the cart before the horse. That says to me, we're 100% confident we're going to pass these laws and we're getting all of our ducks in a row.
Well, think about it. There is the Democrats have such control
mm-hmm.
in the state legislature,
mm-hmm.
the Senate and the Assembly side. There is nothing the Republicans or conservatives can do. They can't stop it at all. They might as well just go home and not even talk about it or debate the issue, because the Democrats absolutely control and can do anything they want. There's nothing anybody can do to stop them. There's really not. And what's funny is, we've talked about this before, the Democrats have controlled the state of California through the assembly process since the 70s.
Yeah.
So coming up on 40 years. I think there was one or 1.5 year period where the Republicans controlled the assembly, and then it reverted right back, and they didn't have the Senate then, so it didn't matter, but at least they had to struggle to get some work done. And California, that's working out great for you. And the voters, they keep putting them back in.
Yeah, nonstop. And it's, again, California, and we say this all the time, California is a very prominent test bed for progressive state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They test a lot of laws in California
before they go national
to see how people react and what they do. The other thing that California does better than any other state is get people on the So, as I was saying before, they've set the system up, and California is the perfect example of how progressives think long term.
Mm-hmm.
They started small in getting people slowly onto that government services and edging them onto it, and then they started to expand it and spread it out and make it more and more. So then when it comes time for things like gun control, hey, you better keep voting us in, because if you get rid of us, somebody else, if you get the other guy in here, he's going to cut a lot of your funds and free stuff. So you better put us back in. We're going to take away gun control, but that doesn't bother you because the government already has you protected. We feed you. We take care of you. Don't worry. Nothing can ever go wrong. Keep voting us back in. And California is the ultimate nanny state. New York may have just passed it with their recent round of gun laws, and I think that New York, California is going to try to leapfrog them because they don't like to be outdone by anyone when it comes to progressive.
Although the weird thing about California is if you look at the county by county, a lot of that state is actually red.
Yeah.
But you have the Bay Area and Los Angeles area in Southern California where the population density is such that you have those areas voting in all these liberals that control that state legislature and the governor's office.
Yeah, and it's just mind-boggling to me. And it's funny because, and we're up against the break with my parting words on this before we go into the break, is if you go out into the lesser populated areas, and I've met a lot of people out there, it's very conservative. It's very old school, but they don't have the numbers. And a lot of conservatives in California have something that I blame the conservatives nationwide for not really coming to California and helping out with that. But we're going to take a break. We'll come back on the other side. The phone number is 347-205-9399. This is the Sackheads Radio Show.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hello, I'm Ashley, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Dr. Larry Arnn on why the Constitution limits government.
James Madison writes in Federalist 51 that men are not angels. Their passions and self-interest often get the better of their reason and sense of justice. So we need government in order to protect our rights against those who would take them away. But for the same reason, Madison writes, government must be limited because people in government have passions and interests too. Many Americans today forget this, supposing that we can do away with constitutional limits on government, supposing that the unelected bureaucrats being put in charge of our health care, for example, will rule as if they are angels. If Madison was correct about human nature, this is foolish and dangerous.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So welcome back to the show. So on Tuesday, Congressman Darrell Issa, He's actually ready for it. He's actually a Republican out of California.
Well, it's nice to finally meet that guy.
How weird is that? he sent a letter detailing what documents he expects to be delivered in obedience to a subpoena he issued for Benghazi-related documents from the State Department. And he wants these documents delivered by June 7th. Ready? Let's all hold our breath. Don't do it! Don't do it!
Kidding.
So he wants more emails between administration officials about the Benghazi talking points that were given out for Ambassador Rice before she went out on her whole tour of BS. I don't know how else to put it. That
should have been the title. The State Department BS
State
Tour.
Department BS Tour.
2012/13.
So they already released about 100 emails. The State Department did, but Darrell Issa claims that those emails paint kind of an incomplete picture. There's a lot of gaps and so forth in time, and supposedly there are I want to say I saw a number like 25,000 related emails or documents that they believe are out there. Well, the State Department's response, their spokeswoman Jen, and I think her name's Psaki, P-S-A-K-I. I'm gonna call her Jen P.
I love her sake bombs. When I go eat what? I eat Japanese food.
What? I thought of something funny. So she asked in a press conference today, basically, hey, what do you think about this? In essence, there was a whole exchange between a reporter and her, and what she asks is that the reporter asks, hey, do you have a reaction to this, and does the department intend to comply with the deadline for the documents?
At which point there was a ton of laughing and
right, they high-fived each other. Said thanks for asking that ridiculous
silly
question.
Little Congress.
The answer
Who
to
do you
that.
think you're talking to?
We're the State Department. They obviously don't know where their bread is buttered. So Ms. Psaki says, well, I'm quoting, well, let me just remind everyone, since given the opportunity that we've demonstrated an unprecedented degree of cooperation with Congress on the issue of Benghazi. Really? Huh. Okay. So she then goes on to say, we on this issue, you'll recall that 100 pages of documents on the talking points were released just weeks ago. They were inclusive of the emails around this issue, and from our perspective, the CIA-led interagency process, so way to throw the CIA under the bus.
Well, yeah, duh.
As we now know, through which these talking points were developed, has been thoroughly addressed publicly. But of course, we remain committed, as we have consistently been, to working with Congress, and we are taking stock of this recent subpoena and determining the next appropriate steps.
Taking stock of this recent subpoena. So that they essentially sat back in the chair, and I picture like a Freud-looking guy smoking a pipe, saying, "Read that to me again."
Well, hang on, it gets better. So after another couple little exchanges, this reporter says, so just a quick follow-up to that, just for clarity. So when you say you're determining the next appropriate steps, you haven't yet decided whether or not the State Department will be providing the documents that are in the subpoena? And the spokeswoman says that's correct. But we have provided, just as a reminder, of course, 100 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that reminder, but you're being subpoenaed to send more, and
can
you're
I do
just
that
gonna,
when the IRS audits us?
And you're just going to say, well, no, because it's not a congressional subpoena. I guess if it's a congressional subpoena,
you can just
ignore
that.
Ignore it.
Because I would just love to be like, hey, listen, Mr. IRS agent, I've sent you 100 pages of documentation.
Right.
And you would say, you've sent me 100 crayon drawings that you've signed.
And that's documentation.
That's documentation of how much I made last year. It's just you should know this.
Well,
it's artistic interpretation.
Well, think about this. Eric Holder, our good friend, was found in contempt of Congress.
Right.
And it went over to review to be prosecuted.
If you bring that up again, I'm walking out.
What?
Sorry. The contempt of Congress.
Okay.
I just thought anytime somebody was held in contempt of Congress, you just have to get up and walk out no matter what.
Yeah, you do. And then not prosecute yourself.
Who would?
Right. Let me see. am I going to charge myself with this? I don't think so.
So I went to Congress. That's kind of a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to let that one go.
Yeah. Now, that's cute. Boy, I could be in real trouble for this. I wish I knew somebody. Oh, wait, I do. Me.
I wish I had an inside guy. Somebody that could make this go away. Oh, wait. I do. Excuse me, Mr. Mirror. Would you mind pardoning me myself? Yes, I would. Well, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Right, or so, Mr. Mirror, so if I had $200 in this hand.
Let's say I had, I don't know, $200 in this hand. Ouch. And I don't even know what's in this. $200. Ouch. That's such a great movie.
So do you think the State Department called over to Eric Holder and be like, hey, so we don't send these documents. We good? Yeah, we're good. I'm going to be leaving soon anyways. I mean, what?
Trust me, it's not going to matter whatsoever. Just do what you need to do. Don't even think twice about it. And you know what? It's not like the president's going to call you out on anything, so you're good to go.
Right.
Look at Hillary resigned. Right? It wasn't pressure, and she was just like, yeah, peace out, no worries. They'll never get Hillary on anything, unfortunately. It just won't happen. Holder still has a job. I don't know how he has a job. That is, it is beyond logic.
Okay, first of all, how does
politically?
I want to know how a lot of these people have a job. Yeah, and I mean, White House General Counsel knew, White House Chief of Staff knew, and I'm talking about the IRS thing here, not Benghazi.
Right.
And action still hasn't been taken. We'll get into the IRS thing here a little bit later with the IRS chief and what came out today. But I'm so irritated.
You know what it is it doesn't matter how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is they just march the carny.
The nerd.
They just march the carny right out, and he just starts juggling, and he's got a little jester hat on, and up until they got phone tapped, the mainstream media, a lot of people in the media, even Fox at sometimes, just kind of was like, okay, fine, we'll buy that. That's pretty good. We have no reason to do our due diligence and follow up on this. And you know what? If you want us to let that story go, it's old news. Oh, you're going to wiretap us? Yeah, we're going to be bulldogs all of a sudden.
Eric Holder is how he is. I'm noticing that there are some reservations, even in Congress when they talk about just straight out bringing him up on criminal charges.
Yeah.
With everything that he has done, the contempt, with the Fast and Furious misleading. Why do they call it misleading?
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. He didn't really lie. He just misled. Okay, so
expanding the narrative again.
Yeah, so either he's smarter than you because you didn't pick up on the little nuances and pin him down, so that you were able to be misled. I don't know how many times. Okay, so now you're the idiot,
right?
Not the Obama administration, right? Because they just didn't know because they're idiots. Now you're the idiot because they were smart enough to wordsmith you. Good job.
Wow.
Or he's a stinking liar.
Right.
And I believe
he's a
stinking liar.
And I would wholeheartedly agree with you. You know, part of me wonders why they have, my theory, quite simply, it comes down to they're afraid to go after him because they're going to be called out as racist. And it already started. When they held him in contempt, it didn't end, right? It's all race-based. If he was a white... But
you know what, though? Have some stinking courage.
You have...
And I'll tell you, I would actually have a little bit of respect for this president as a leader, as a commander-in-chief, if he were to stand up and say, you know what, you're fired. You didn't tell me about it because you were trying to insulate me. By the way, that was my air quotes.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I was going to do the play-by-play on that after.
I pretty much nailed it. No. So, Eric Holder, you need to go find yourself a new job,
right?
Because that's absolutely ridiculous and it's unconstitutional. And
you need to go retire to the desk of MSNBC.
Yeah. No. You know what? I wouldn't even let him retire. I'd fire him.
Oh no.
And you, attorney, White House attorney, yeah, I'm firing you. And where's my chief of staff? Yeah, thanks. You're fired. Carney, where are you at? You lied to the media. You lost all credibility. You're fired. Who else?
Right.
That would be a stand-up thing to do. Don't let them. Lois Lerner. Oh, you're on paid vacation. Yeah, no. Even though I'm in the union pocket, no, you're fired.
Right.
I would start.
I have to take that hit.
Absolutely. I would start firing people, and I would actually have some respect because you know what? It would show that to me would suggest that wow, he's legitimately upset.
He's PO'd.
He's taking action to correct the problem, and he's engaging. And I also think politically, if he does that, a lot of this kind of goes away quicker.
Because this is just ammunition for the midterms. This will be ammunition for the next election.
Well, why isn't he firing these people? Why is he protecting them? Why are they getting other jobs elsewhere? What?
What other jobs elsewhere?
Van Jones.
What?
What?
Van Jones. Gosh. Just you want to talk about
but you know what I'm saying?
Loser upon loser.
I think if you were truly upset about the Americans' rights being trampled on, and I'm talking about just the IRS thing, because that's the only thing that he really seems to be pissed off about, why are you not making those changes to ensure that this never happens again? You are the commander-in-chief. You're the leader of this country. I expect you to be in the loop.
Yeah. I expect you to be at the head of the loop.
Yeah. I expect you to know what's going on. And, I hear some people saying, well, this is kind of a la Iran-Contra. Reagan was kept in the dark and this and that. Okay. I'll give you that. And Reagan, same thing as far as firing. But here's the difference. Iran-Contra didn't affect the constitutional rights of American citizens.
Right.
And the media. And that is the big difference.
It's a huge difference.
They weren't using Iran-Contra was not used to target American citizens for political belief or to suppress political activity, and we kind of ran through that.
Free speech. Let's see, the First Amendment,
freedom of the press,
all
that good stuff. So I have some real concerns, and to me this just kind of. And I'll tell you, on the Benghazi talking points, I really think the White House is going to have some difficulty explaining because 2 weeks after the event, it's not like he said, hey, you know what, Susan Rice went out and we thought that it was this before she made some mistakes. It actually was terror-related. 2 weeks later, he knew exactly what was going on. He knew exactly what was going on that night.
Yeah.
But he knew exactly what was going on 2 weeks after the fact, and he still went out in front of the United Nations and still went out on the narrative of it was a video, we have zero respect for that type of,
right.
We're not going to stand for that type of hate. And he went up on, and he doubled down on the video narrative. And I think that's where he got himself kind of in a pickle as far as the president himself being involved in this. Because what else is he going to say? Well, they told me that it was the video. Really? So you don't even have control of over your own intelligence team?
Right.
Or the trust in your intelligence team, to be honest with you?
And if they're wrong and he comes out and legitimately says, hey, you know what? 2 days later, he goes out in the South Lawn and he makes that speech at the Rose Garden there and he makes that speech about the video. If he came out before Susan Rice went and did her 5 talk shows and what have you and said, hey, we made a mistake. The info that we initially got was bad. It looks like it was a coordinated terror attack. Then you can turn around and say, okay, they screwed up or they didn't get the info they thought they had, and they went with it. But at least he has the integrity to go out there right now and say, we made a mistake. It wasn't this video. It was a coordinated attack. But they didn't. They pushed Susan Rice out there. They kept going with it. And it was only until the president of Libya pretty much went and said, hey, this was a terror attack. Our intelligence told us it was, and we knew it from the beginning, that they kind of sidestepped. And I think that was the biggest linchpin for them because that was proof outside the administration. You could have media and all this other stuff, but when you have the president of the country that it occurred in saying, yeah, this was terror. And I know you think we're a young government.
Oh, no, but I said terror in the Rose Garden, remember?
Right.
No. You said act of terror. You didn't say this was a terrorist action against. You threw out the terror word like an active shooter at a school can be construed as an act of terror.
You didn't share what you knew.
Yeah.
You said active terror. You didn't turn around and say these terrorists or anything to that effect.
He didn't even say this was a terrorist act. All he said was acts of terror will not be tolerated. He didn't say this was a terrorist act.
For the quote-unquote low informational voters that are out there and people don't necessarily pay attention as much, they write things like that into speeches
to cover
so they know down the line they can come back and say, oh, no, exactly what like the Carney's doing now. He said in that speech,
terror.
He used the word terror. So I don't know where you're getting this whole thing about that we didn't think terror was involved. Well, I can tell you where we're getting that because you said it for 2 weeks straight.
And we actually read the transcript of the speech in the Rose Garden, and he said acts of terror won't be tolerated. He didn't say this was an act of terror, and we're going to go freaking get somebody.
Right. And that's...
But you said it all earlier when you said have some integrity and come out. I don't believe that integrity exists in this administration.
No, not at all.
I really don't. It saddens me to say that, but this administration is all about power and maintaining power and destroying political enemies. I firmly believe that, especially with everything that's coming out with the AP, as well as the IRS scandal. And another thing with this AP thing that is I don't think is looked at very closely by a lot of other media is this. Do you remember when Fox News was kicked out of the press pool?
Yes.
And fortunately, the other reporters stood up and said, no, we're not going to do that. But how many times...
But that was self-serving, too, because if you don't have Fox News in there, those other reporters really can get lambasted because they're like, they didn't even stand up for me because they don't want me in there because I don't
They can, but follow me on this. So you have the White House trying to exclude Fox News from the press pool, right?
Yep.
You also have... How many times has this administration said that like Fox News, they're not a real news organization? They're not
them.
Trying to discredit them and saying they're not real news. They're just the puppet of the right or of the Republican Party, whatever it is they're saying. And so now you have a Fox reporter that's being targeted specifically. And I think those facts, when all taken together, paint
a very big picture.
Now all of these are linked. So now you take that AP scandal and the scandal with the Fox News reporter, Rosen, and now you tie it to the IRS.
Yep.
Where the IRS is going after conservative groups and targeting conservatives, not just Tea Party groups, but conservative donors to the Romney campaign.
To the point that they're asking what their prayers are about. I mean,
yes.
You want to talk about way beyond the line.
Yep. And you have the IRS meeting directly at the White House.
157 times,
and we'll talk about that in another segment. Yeah. So you don't think that's all linked? And that's what I say. This administration is very much about power and destroying enemies. And as much as I hate to kind of draw these types of parallels, and we condemn this usually when other people do it, but this is almost like and without the violence. So please understand that I'm not saying that Obama is this type of violent, nasty individual, but it's almost like the propaganda machine of the Third Reich. And I don't make the connection lightly. I hate it when people compare Bush to Hitler. And look, I don't even like comparing Obama to Hitler because we're not talking about the violence, but I'm talking about the propaganda machine of the Reich,
right?
Which was based on Woodrow Wilson's propaganda machine.
Right.
Ed Bernays in his book Propaganda. Goebbels used that as his centerpiece for his propaganda machine to get the Nazis into power and maintain that power throughout World War II.
So in a sense, we're putting him along lines with Woodrow Wilson's.
Yes.
We're comparing it directly to that.
Yes, but I think it even goes farther than that because I don't know of evidence
of... it's modernized, if you will.
Well, I don't know of evidence of Woodrow Wilson actively going after political enemies. And I know the Reich did, and they did so through this spin that they'd put on the propaganda. And obviously, the Richard Nixon White House did, but I don't think it was...
Well, and communists have done it for years as well, where they target the people in power.
That's why he's doing it.
Oh. No, but I don't disagree with you.
Okay,
I really
but
don't.
again,
it's starting to get to the point.
But I want to be clear because I know we have some liberals that listen to the show.
It doesn't matter. It's already going to be.
I know.
Already going to be.
I don't care. I'm going to say this
skewed
anyways.
out of place.
I don't care. I know we have some liberals that listen to the show. One of them, Obama, 2016.
Yep.
I consider him a good friend. I love the fact that he listens to our show and he's been pretty faithful to us. Seems to have a good head on his shoulders too, other than the fact that he's liberal. But I'm not comparing Obama saying that he's going to go round up and kill people and put people in concentration camps. I'm not making that connection at all. I'm talking strictly about
a ton of ammunition to pull that off.
Right, and it's not like any agencies are having. Oh, wait, are you in the candy stash?
Yeah, I took a break to get candy. Keep going. You were doing great.
I had to call you out.
My sweet tooth was acting up.
So Sean literally takes his headset off, throws it on the ground, jumps up out of his seat, and grabbed a freaking Nestle Crunch.
Why wouldn't I?
And sat back down.
And you look.
So that's why I'm worried.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
But you also look at any time a bill fails that he pushes, when it passes. They immediately talk about how both sides work together if it's an Obamacare. They singled out the few, quote-unquote, Republican conservatives that voted for it, and it wasn't, I think there was a handful, if any. I think there was a couple independents. They may have been independents. But I remember specific names of those who joined with the liberal Democrats, but as soon as anything opposed it, then they go out there and immediately start lambasting them. Oh, this is because the Republicans, and it has everything to do with this president. It has nothing to do with the bill that we try to pass. And that's where they've gone down this road. They make everything personal. It's a personal attack. Everything's about this president, and it can't be about the policy. And the prime example in that is the head of the Louisiana Democratic Party, who says that anyone who is a critic of Obamacare, it's because it's race. It's race-based. This is Louisiana State Senator Karen Peterson, and she's the chairwoman of the State Democratic Party. And she said right from the beginning, essentially, I've talked to so many members in both the House and Senate, and you know what? Are you ready? You ready? What it comes down to, it's not about how many federal dollars we will receive. It's not about that. You ready? It's all about race. That's what she says. I know nobody wants to talk about that. It's about race of this.
Oh, no, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
But just think about, you add that into everything else that this, and she's the head of the Democratic Party. You know she has a phone at the White House because everyone who's the head of the Democratic Party seems to get in there one time or another. They throw that out there. This is done by design. We need a distraction. We need people to get charged up again because we're losing people. People are mad at us. So what can we do? Let's bring up Obamacare and race again. And that's exactly what they go to. And then they send out the used car salesman whenever they're criticized. I'm sorry, did I say used car salesman? I meant Carney. Whenever they're criticized.
No, used car salesmen actually have some kind of heart, maybe.
There's
or
at least
brain.
A lemon law that protects us from them in some states.
Right.
We need a lemon law.
Can we get a lemon law for Carney?
They send him out there, and he just nitpicks everything he can to make it a personal and ignores the overall. And that's what they do. They just blow it up. Every small thing that they can, they blow up, and then they charge the right with doing the same thing. Only the small things that they're alleging they're blowing up, Benghazi. At the beginning, the IRS, Fast and the Furious. You look at, these are things that they say the right is blowing up, but as we look into it more, they haven't even scraped the surface. But he's ready to go out there, and he is, one of my favorite things about him is, we didn't want to talk about that until we had all the info. When it's convenient to us. There's a lot of things we'd love to talk about without half the info, and we're going to tell you what happened even though we don't know. Mm-hmm. And if that means we have to go back and sidestep a little bit, I was late.
Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't have and go.
I had my timing for that perfect, and I missed the button. But they go out there.
Cat-like reflexes.
Are you kidding me? Like a two-toed sloth. They go out there, and that's all they do, and they ignore the actual meat and potatoes of the argument and make it about race in this case, so they make it about how it's just this.
You know why?
President.
You know why they do that? Because that shuts a lot of people down.
Right.
They don't want to be called a racist.
Beyond that.
Yeah, you don't want to be called a racist. Oh, they're going to call me a racist. I don't want to be labeled a racist.
Look at what you said earlier when you were discussing, you were comparing the propaganda types that were being used. Somebody's going to come back at some point and say, "Oh, Sackheads Radio, they compared him to Hitler." No, that's not what we did. No. We heard you, and they'll play an 8-second clip where you say, it's going to be you saying, "This administration is a lot like the Third Reich." Boom, that's all you're going to hear.
Right.
And it's going to get looped over and over and over again, and hopefully they'll make memes of us, and we'll be all these evil people, and that's fine if that's what you want to say.
Because then that'll get us more popularity, and people will listen,
it's free
and we'll
advertising.
sell shirts, and it'll be great.
Please do it. But you're ignoring the substance of the argument, and that's what this administration does as often as possible in order to duck and, as we heard, sidestep. We're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to discuss the
IRS.
The IRS. Be here in a minute, Sackheads Radio.
ERS.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Sackheads Radio Show. 10 p.m. Pacific. It's midnight on the East Coast.
I thought it's 1 on the East Coast.
Oh, it's 1.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to do math. And that's not my...
Carry the 4.
I am still shocked when I hear our break music, and I'm like, oh, I don't have my headphones on yet. How long have we been doing this for? And it's because we end up doing, we go on a break and we start looking at other things that we're talking about and make sure we... But I don't know why I still get that weird little pit. Oh, music's back. I got to oh, I'm just sitting here. I don't have to go anywhere. I just literally have to put on my headphones. But, you know, at least it's still interesting to me.
I don't even know what to say on that. Look, so the number of times that former IRS Chief Schulman, that guy, what a douchebag. First of all, did you see when he testified in front of Congress? Just what an arrogant, cocky.
But I said that's why they were so quick to let Lerner go, is because I think they thought she would be a tougher egg to crack. I don't know if they knew she was going to plead the fifth, but
she was tough to crack. She pled the fifth.
But I think that they thought that she would have been more thought out. He was so pompous and cocky that they tore him apart. And he couldn't even see. There were certain times that even I was just like, would you shut up? You're killing me.
But he didn't even care because he's just such a pompous ass.
Yeah.
And I like the left. They're like, well, he was a Bush appointee. He donated to the Democratic Party.
Right.
He's not. He didn't meet with Bush 157 times.
And as we've talked about before, I don't care who appointed him. I don't know why that has to come back to, oh, he appointed him, so, you know, he kind of owns him. It doesn't matter who owns him. What matters is what he's doing now.
What? Who's doing now?
Sure. What?
You look like you were like that. It was like a light bulb just trying to spark in your brain when I threw that curveball at you.
Really? You think it was spark? It was like imploding.
Did you like that? But it came out that that Schulman visited the White House 157 times. Did you hear his answer when Congress asked, so what do you do at the White House? We thought, the Easter egg roll with my kids. I wish that Congressman said, really smart ass.
How do you get there 157 times in one day?
Yeah. Right. Well, every time.
All right, kids, pack up the van. Let's go away. All right, just kidding. We're going back to the White House. No, pack it up again.
That I don't go to my mom's house 157 times in a
even if there is Easter egg hunts.
Right. I mean, in a 5-year period, I just don't. First of all, there's only been 5 Easters, right, since he's been in office.
Right. So that would be what, 30?
So that's 152 times that you need to account for then, since you've been to 5 Easter egg rolls. They're on their Christmas dinners. I mean, what?
That's 30 plus he'll be missing. That's 30 plus rather that he's gone to for every Easter. 30 times he shows up every individual day. No, you know what? He's ridiculous. He knew what was going on, and you can't tell me that he goes and meets with the president and some little conversation like, oh, funny story. The Inspector General is doing this kind of just, it's not a big deal, and I don't want you to freak out. You know,
right.
Have a seat and just take a breath. Now listen. The Inspector General is doing this little investigation. It's almost like getting called to the principal's office when you're a parent for your kid. We're just going to kind of go in and see who's putting the tack on the teacher's chair. Not a big, what are they doing? Targeting conservative groups. Not a big deal because it's only the conservatives.
Right. Oh, Mr. President. Yeah, that's Boardwalk with a hotel.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So anyways.
You owe me $2,500.
No, Joe. Hey, Joe. No, we're not doing shots every time we land on a hotel. Yeah, I know the whole board is hotels.
Just go over
You didn't pay for those hotels, Joe. No, this isn't a stimulus. I mean,
go spin your top.
Right.
He just goes sitting in the corner with the diaper on, just spinning it.
Sucking his thumb. Hey, Joe, look, a jump rope.
Woohoo! I did 4. This big handout with the number 4 up. Look, I do 4. If you want to go to sackheadsradio.com and click Dare Joe Biden, there are some great new entries in there, and I know we talked about the first half, but add your own because it never gets old for us anyhow. I don't care about anybody else. But yeah, 157 times the Schulman character's there. You can't tell me it didn't come up once.
And I will say this because his predecessor went one time. I think the CIA director went, or Clinton went. What she like 20 or 40? I don't know.
Right.
Not 157, and she's probably in a little more important role. The IRS it's a law enforcement branch. They're there to collect taxes. They should be, and that's why the IRS director is nominated and put in place for a period of time, 5 years, which is longer than the presidential term, so that it will carry over. There'll be some accountability. It's supposed to be nonpartisan, and even like the FBI director, right? You can't get involved with the politics. You're not supposed to.
That's not your job.
Not your job. But I can understand going a little bit more than predecessors because, hey, you know what? Yes, the IRS is responsible for collecting the tax or the penalty for Obamacare. So, yeah, we have to work some of that out. Okay, so you work that out with your $27.4 billion page document. That may take some time, but it averages, I think Megyn Kelly did the math, it averages out to like once every 9 days or something like that. You don't spend that much time there, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying with the story on Benghazi, right? 2 weeks later, the president is saying, "Well, no, it was a video." He knew. Okay, he knew.
Well, yeah,
2 weeks later,
he watched the news, and that's where he learns a lot of what's going on in this
right,
country.
which is why
he knows what his administration does when Carney's out there doing it.
Which is why he knew it was a video, because he watched Susan Rice and all the Sunday talk shows while Joe Biden was eating his Captain Crunch and Obama was smoking a cigarette and drinking coffee, which, by the way, is he going to have to pay a higher health premium because he smoked cigarette, or is the president exempt from that?
I wonder if that 2 cigarettes were in Joe's Trans Am.
And why were they in the back?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to talk about something ridiculous. That whole
Joe Biden.
Yeah, over and over again. Just awesome. Awesome and ridiculous in his own way. I hope if he doesn't get elected in 2016, he's going to run, and who knows. But I hope he does a sitcom after the fact. And you could call it Just Joe. And just
Joe's House.
Joe's House. But I want it to be the kind of... I had a situational comedy designed a couple years ago before Gaddafi got off. It would be Gaddafi and Putin. Have I told you this before?
Yes.
Sent to San Francisco, no money, they work at a Gap, and they have to live together in a studio apartment. Buddy comedy show. I want to do something like that with Joe.
Okay.
Where you put him into jobs.
With Exeter from Mork and Mindy. What?
Okay, that's one person that you could possibly use.
Okay.
I was thinking as his partner, Rand Paul, Dr. Paul.
No.
No?
No. No, I don't think that'd be funny enough because Dr. Paul is way too smart for Joe, and Joe would like start on some batshit crazy thing, and Dr. Paul would just, I think he'd shut it down too quick.
See, I think Dr. Paul has such a great sense of humor that he would let it go on purpose. And it would be a lot of him just laughing himself. Like in the background, you know how they do that foreground background shot?
Right.
And Joe is just like working at a Burger King and like, you know, he's dumping fries all over the floor or whatever. And in the background, you pan back and there's Dr. Paul just laughing hysterically.
How about Joe Biden and Dice Clay?
Andrew Dice Clay. Well, I don't know if Andrew can get the time off from White Castle, but... that would be an outstanding show.
You know what would be awesome? You know what would have been great? Is if Shulman said, so what do you go to the White House for? 118 times, I think, is what they knew about them, but now it's 157. If he said...
Legos.
Legos
with Joe?
Legos with Joe. They're actually Duplo because Joe chokes on the little one. So they're Duplo blocks. But I didn't want to embarrass him.
He had a flag in his nose for a week when we did the castle set.
Yeah. What if he said, listen, did you check the dates? Because those are dates that the president was out of town and Michelle is home alone.
Listen, I don't know how to tell you that.
And, yeah, I didn't really want this to come out in a congressional hearing, but...
I wonder if she's going to have to pay more. I wonder. And if you don't know what I reference, it came out today that they're passing, it has to do with Obamacare, is that there's a new regulation that could raise your insurance rates with or through Obamacare. If you smoke, you're overweight, I think it's high blood pressure.
And that's what I was referring to.
Yeah. So, again, here's this president of bringing everyone together, and we need to get everyone to work together, and everyone needs to be on the
No,
same
he's
page.
transparent.
We all need to be one nation.
Under God?
No,
we can't. Yeah, we can't do that.
But we got to pass health care because people need to have health care in this country. We need people to get better, and they can't be sick. What if they're fat? Screw them. They're going to pay more. What if they smoke? Well, because I get the exception, they're going to pay more. Screw them. What if they have hypertension? Well, here's what we're going to do. You see, you remember fat camps? I have this idea where it's going to be kind of like a fat camp, but we're going to call it a wellness program, and you're going to have to go to that. So by wellness program, do you mean re-education camp? Exactly.
I mean, no. No, just the conservative fat people.
Right.
You know, like Sean from Sackheads. Wait, what?
Dude, I'm reading this, and my first thought is, how much am I going to have to pay?
Wait a second. If I drink, what? I got to pay how much?
Smoke, check. Overweight, check. Drink, check. I'm screwed. I just bought an airplane for the Department of Justice. Is essentially what's going to happen. How can they tax me more than what I make?
Listen. You need to work. See, it's strategy. You need to work more to make more to pay that fee, and you'd lose weight.
So
because you wouldn't have time to eat or money to pay for food. So
and somebody, I sent out a tweet today. This is something to the effect of I did a funny half quote with Obama. It said, "We love everyone and want them to be happy and healthy, except you fatties or smokers. Screw you." By the way, I'm exempt to this rule. And one of the responses that I got was from somebody said, yeah, but he wants to encourage people to stop smoking and eat better. Oh, my goodness, the tyranny. If he wants to encourage that, which I believe that's what Michelle's been doing for 5 years, and I don't know if you've noticed, but she's packed on a few LBs as time has gone on, and that's fine. I'm not one to talk, but for somebody who's heading up this whole eat healthy and get healthy thing, is not taking her own advice. If he wants to encourage that, that's fine. I have no problem if he wants to make that like a pet project. Nancy Reagan had the DARE program, and everyone has their little. That's fine, but this isn't an encouragement. This is a force. When you pass a regulation on something that, as a citizen,
it's a nudge.
It's a nudge.
You know what's
exactly
weird?
What
his former regulatory czar wrote a book entitled something like. Was it called Nudge?
Nudge by
it was
Cass,
called Sunstein.
Right, sunscreen.
Huh.
Cass sunscreen. Which you need sunscreen in order to protect yourself from. Because I wonder if they'll do a tan regulation. I wonder if you over tan, they'll bring you in.
No, because that's racist. How do you prove that it's a tan and not ethnic? Right?
They'll only go after certain people,
like white people.
And yeah, but you look at where they could go with this and how far they could push this out. And this didn't have to go through Congress. It's a regulation that they put in by Obamacare. Who runs Obamacare? The IRS, essentially. So isn't that a little frightening if they can just turn around and go, oh, by the way, new rule. It's like when you're playing tag as a kid, and the fat kid, usually me, keeps getting tagged at the last second. He wants to make up a rule that keeps him from getting tagged but gets everybody else screwed.
Yeah, but you knew this was going to happen because...
We absolutely knew this was going to happen.
Right, because, hey, it's our money. Listen, we have to pay for you when you get sick.
Yeah.
We have to pay for your cancer treatments. We have to pay for... That's why you should let me pay for my own freaking health care.
Let me have the choice.
Or not, and I have the choice, and I have to deal with the consequences of my own actions.
And I've said that all along. Hey, listen, I'm not stupid. I know smoking's bad for me, but it tastes so damn good. I know I should lose weight, but have you ever had prime rib? Have you ever seen a cow? I look at a cow most of the time, and I name what I'd like to have for a side dish with.
No, you actually do. I mean, it's to the point now where I was with you one time, and a cow yawned, and you said, ooh, lengua tacos. I was like, what? Seriously? Do you not think of anything that you can't use? And then I said, what about the aft end? And you said, yeah, hot dogs. What's the problem?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
I like beef dogs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you put a 4-pound prime rib in front of me, and you're going to see one happy fat kid. And that's exactly it. But that's my choice.
Right.
I'm not stupid. I'm not uninformed. I make a choice for whatever it is. And I'm waiting for them, especially with smoking, because I'm waiting for them to make this connection to mental illness. If you keep smoking, well, you know it's bad for you, so you must want to hurt yourself. So there must be a mental illness. Give me a gun.
Yeah, that's a interesting point. And I want to make this point because our listener, can't see us obviously. Sean is not fat. Okay, Sean, and that's part of the reason why I like to make fun.
I'm fat enough. I'll own what I can. Mary in the chat room said, speaking of food, if vegetarians love animals so much, why do they keep eating their food? She also went on to say, if God didn't want us to eat meat, he wouldn't have made those animals out of meat. And I said he also wouldn't have made them so damn tasty. So those two together, Valid points.
PETA, People for the Eating of Tasty Animals. That's us.
I saw a shirt once that said it was great. It's a picture of like 5 endangered species. It said, for every endangered species you save, I'm going to eat 3. Oh, man. But you have to understand that this isn't just about smokers. This isn't about overweight people. And let's face it, I don't know what the percentage of technically obese people are in this country, and I don't know what the percentage of people who smoke is in this country. I was going to look it up, and I realized it didn't matter. A lot of those folks that fall in that category must have voted for this guy. So they're either okay with it, like, hey, I'd love for the government to be able to tell me what to do. I need the government to tell me to get off my ass, quit smoking, and get out there and run a mile and try not to die. Or they didn't realize when they voted that this was coming down the line. And that's what scares me. Anytime you have, and we talked about Obamacare in the past, this big, overreaching law that just spread so wide, and it's so big that it can't be monitored. It's going to be bigger than the IRS than the IRS now. By the time this thing's full.
Well, that's why they have to add so many agents to start taking.
And we already saw that the IRS has no integrity, and that they can do things, and unless somebody actually brings it to light, and it took a long time for it to happen before.
A couple years.
It took a couple years before conservative groups were like, hey, something screwy's going on.
Well, no, they've said something screwy's going on, and Congress tried to look into it, and the shyster, Schulman, sorry, I always get that name wrong. The shyster said, Schulman, damn it. No, yeah, there's nothing going on here. We're good.
Right.
But yeah, no, I looked into it.
But I want to know how long before they caught on was it going on? You know what I mean? So I'm sure there was a lead-in period. There was a period where they're like, oh, it's just the IRS. It takes forever. Because, honestly, how often do we downplay what the IRS does? We're like, oh, it's just backed up. Oh, I'm calling the IRS. I'm going to be hold for 5 hours. Submitted my 504C application to the IRS. Probably going to be a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here, finally, I got some response. Oh, they just want a couple other questions. Boom, 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 boom. Send it back. Because people, I think, in general, want to believe that there was no ill intent at the beginning. Like, oh, no, this has to be standardized.
Yeah, hey, you know what? We went through this about 40 years ago with a guy named Nixon. I guarantee you that this has been squared away. There's safeguards in place.
Right. There's no possible... Wait, it can happen? Oh. Who is in charge of that shit?
And how come nobody else in the media is saying, that I've heard anyways, how come nobody's using the term tyranny? That's a term
buzzword.
that kind of has gone away. Why is nobody saying, you know what, this is tyranny? And I haven't heard, and this is something that I don't know. I don't know why I thought of this. This is something that has me kind of say, how come I haven't heard any state governors maybe looking to run for president next time or whatever, stand up and say, you know what, this is government tyranny. And if the IRS is doing this, what other departments are doing this, either to, benefits towards the states, or, so are certain states getting certain benefits from the federal government, and we're not because we're conservative? What's going on here?
Yeah, at some point, in the few media outlets that I've heard use the word tyranny are the ones that are just raked across the coals, and mainstream media and the administration tries to pan them into loons.
That's because mainstream media and the administration has zero understanding of, or they have an understanding of, but they have such contempt for the Declaration of Independence viewed together with the United States Constitution,
right,
to really understand what the foundational elements and principles of our country really are, and kind of where that came from. And again, you look through the Declaration of Independence, and it reads almost like a charging document, right? Where hey, you know what, this is what we're charging the king with, and why we're doing what we're doing. And a lot of that can be translated into some of the things that are happening today. And because we have...
That's impossible. History never repeats itself, Clint. You were just absolutely way out of line.
Rome. What?
All right, so you got one. Name another one.
America.
So you have 2. All right, good point. Keep going. Sorry.
Greece.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, do you remember in World War II, because history never repeats itself,
right.
Pre-World War II, guns were illegal in England,
yeah,
and so Americans had to volunteer and send firearms over so the people in England could defend themselves in case Germany invaded.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, may have been Winston Churchill, said, you know what, never again will we disarm our people. And then...
It did.
They did? Oh, yeah, so now that's another example where history repeated itself.
Uh-huh.
They just haven't been... Germany doesn't have a military, really, so I guess that wouldn't happen again. Huh, yeah, I don't know. I'm out of examples.
No, that's it. Listen, you got a couple weak ones.
Look,
and I'll give you that.
getting back to Shyster visiting the White House. Sorry, I keep doing that. That 157 number was the times he's actually logged in. There are potentially times where he's visited where he may not have signed in, may not have had to sign in for whatever reason. Eric Holder visited 62 times, and he and Obama are pretty tight.
Yeah, well, they hang out anyways.
Right.
Now, do you only... here's an interesting one, and I don't know. Do you have to sign in... Say you're a high-level official, Eric Holder, and you're there for personal business, personal reasons.
Okay.
And say the president and the first lady invite you over for dinner, and it's not work-related.
Personal reasons. So, like, if Shyster was visiting Michelle when the president was out of town, he wouldn't have to sign in.
Perfect example.
Okay.
Is that the same sign-in log? And I know they do the same security checks. I'm not saying that, but is that the same sign-in log, or is that just specifically for business-related visits?
Yes, I don't know.
Because I'm just saying.
I don't know.
How many more were there on personal reasons? Hey, Mr. Shyster, why don't you come over with your...
Shulman, you're doing it now.
I see you got me confused on the name.
I know.
Why don't you come over and have dinner? Okay, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. So it's mind-boggling how deep this could possibly go into it. You can't sit here and tell me with all this evidence in front of you that you don't believe the president's had any idea.
Mr. President, Yahtzee, nice roll. Hey, so... About this targeting conservative things. No, I didn't sign in, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, somebody say targeting? Geez, a shotgun, Joe. Please go back and just play Hungry Hippos.
Okay. Targeting. I got the ad. I'm targeting right now. No, Joe, not the store. Listen, just
deodorant and underwear's on sale.
Hey, anybody for Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Give me an awesome weekend in the Biden house. New underwear for everybody. Let's go.
Except you, honey. You don't need them. I'm red.
Yeah, I know I was talking to you, Hillary. You don't need them. I'm red. Oh, that's going to be my favorite segment. Probably. I don't know if we're going to have a better segment for me personally than Dare Joe Biden.
And that's why I hope he runs for president, because then
we
will have so much fodder. Yeah.
It would be outstanding.
And I've actually heard that he is a really nice guy. Like, on a personal level, he's just supposedly a really nice, just a really great dude.
I wonder if he'd appreciate that.
So I'm hoping, I hope so.
As a person, politically, I obviously I don't get along. Disagree. Right. If he's got a good sense of humor about it, if this is one of those things where if he went to a webpage and he's like, "That's damn funny," I don't care. I'll do it. You know what I mean? That would be outstanding. It's just Scranton Joe. Just run down the street in my underwear. Why? Anyone with an afro I can borrow?
I dare Joe Biden to reenact the streaking scene from Old School. On the National Mall. Hang on, I gotta add that one.
Log in right now. Make sure you add that. That's an awesome. We're all going streaking.
Joe, get back here. Come on, guys.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And then tie it in. Remember the belly flop in 50 First Dates?
Ooh, that's a good combination.
And then right into the reflecting pool.
Dare Joe Biden. It's up on sackheadsradio.com. Just click on Dare Joe Biden. Phone number for tonight, 347-205-9390. 888-866-9999. We're up against our last break. We come back, we're going to wrap up the show and, have the usual fun that we have here on Sackheads Radio.
Ooh, I love to dance a little side step. Now they see me, now they don't have and gone.
Hey, if you care about what's going on in the world, you cannot afford to miss my show. Hi, this is Andrea Kay, your host of The Andrea Kay Show. It's not always about the money. Okay, it is always about the money, but it's also about politics, pop culture, and you. The only thing street about this show is the smarts. There's a reason they call me Dynamite in a Dress, and you'll find out why when you listen Tuesday mornings at 10 on Financial News and Talk.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey folks, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. As a native Bostonian, my heart broke on April 15, 2013, watching those horrendous attacks at the Boston Marathon. Now there's a way that you can help. Go to onefundboston.org, onefundboston.org, where you can donate to help the victims and families from this awful attack. Onefundboston.org, all the proceeds will go directly to the victim's family. Thank you very much from Sackheads Radio.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So that's what I want to know.
I so love that.
Hey, here's the funny part.
Yeah.
You're the Attorney General.
No, I'm not.
If you were.
Okay.
And you've been having, I don't know, a little bit of news about your agency that you're in charge of.
Uh-huh.
And you said, you know what? I just want to have a little off-the-record meeting with the press.
Right.
Just to kind of maybe clear the air on a few things, and you just get.
And so nobody gets me on the record, so I don't get myself in even more trouble.
And then turn around and to have everybody but Politico and
ABC
say no. Doesn't that tell you something? No.
And ABC actually said they'd press for it to be on the record.
Right.
But they're still going to go.
Right. And here's the funny part. Why
aren't we going?
Why are we, first of all, why are we not going? We'll shoot that email out after the show, see if he wants us to go. Second of all, if it's the Attorney
We're not going. We already said we're not going. We're not going.
If the Attorney General is having any sort of press meeting, and it is a formal thing, it's not like they're playing golf and they're having coffee on the weekends. It's a formal thing. Where do they get the right to say, oh, this is going to be off the record? And I know Carney just did this a couple weeks ago with the press, too, this whole off-the-record thing. Where do they get the... No, it's not off the record. You're speaking from your official capacity.
If the press agrees to keep it off the record, then they'll keep it off the record. The press is the one, right, that has to exercise their First Amendment right. If they agree to waive that and to meet off the record, then they can do so.
I just always wondered, too, how does Greta Van Susteren feel about those off the record with her show being on the record?
Because
She'd never
it's
be invited.
always on the record. So if Greta Susteren did go, would it be off the record with on the record with Greta Van Susteren, or would it be on the record, off the record with Greta Van Susteren?
And I wonder,
Greta Van Susteren.
I wonder if that would, I don't know, break some sort of record. I'm just asking because I don't know all the politics involved.
So off the record with on the record would break a record, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know.
Oh, too many names to record. What? 157 of just one guy's name. Shyster. Schulman. God, I'm going to get that right at some point. But doesn't that tell you that something's wrong?
With on the record, or are we talking about shyster? You can't do that. You can't do your whole Boston logic. I went one way, I fake left, I go right, but then I'm actually left.
Everything I do is totally legit logic-based. It has
Yeah, everything you do is totally legit. Way to throw yourself under the bus while the government monitors us.
Beep. Doesn't matter. They already shut us off earlier tonight, too. So, but you would think that would be something where everyone's like, hey, you know, I'd love to sit down and have a powwow with you and just kind of maybe talk about X, Y, and Z. Nobody's going.
Why would you talk about X, Y, and Z?
They are the
that
coolest
is just
letters.
silly.
No, they're the coolest
seriously.
letters in the alphabet. But
why don't you talk about Lemino? Lemino.
Let me know what you think. Doesn't that tell you how little trust there is? And this may not be the entire administration, but between Holder and the press. And that really gives you an indication of what the press is looking at this whole phone tap thing and how they're looking. They're like, no. You know, for all I know, that room, just like the cloakroom, that room might be bugged.
Yeah.
I'm not going in there. I don't want... It might be off the record for us, but it may be on the record for you, and it's a public building. I'm sure there's some little law somewhere.
Right now, are you going to try and get us on something to where you're, hey, remember that thing you said?
Right.
And
remember you were like, oh, I thought that Rosen was a jerk anyhow, so I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah.
Or you know, you should be targeting conservative groups or something of that. So, I think there's a ton of audacity for him to be like, hey guys, let's put all of our hate aside for a minute. Just sit in a room.
Group hug. Just
kind of hash this all out, you know, mano a mano, maybe play some Uno, and just talk about what went wrong.
And hey, I've got these cigarettes. Don't worry. It doesn't impact Obamacare because marijuana is natural.
Right. So you're fine.
And it's not treated. But tobacco's natural too. Yeah, but no, we're not doing that.
My bigger question is...
No, hang on. They're going to smoke weed, play Uno. I'm with you so far. Go.
I hope they have the felt. Remember the felt posters, black light posters,
and I have Twinkies,
Hendrix, and the unicorn, and the band, and the wizard, and either way,
and some lava lamps. And hey, we got Twinkies because when Hostess went out, because of that whole union thing, we actually just got truckloads sitting.
But do you think? Tell me where those truckloads are now. That is not. You can't even joke. Listen.
Hang on, Twinkie.
Dude, seriously.
Seriously, look at the spot. Twinkie and a cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh, my goodness. I got to go, folks. Chocodiles. Oh, my left arm for a chocodile. Damn you, unions. You ruin everything for me. And I mean everything. So I believed at some point, I wonder if Obama said, hey, you know what? Get Holder on the line. Hey, Stedman. Hey, boss, listen. You need to make nice with the media because they don't trust you. You're already getting enough heat. We got to kind of cool this down. I have an idea. We did this with Carney a couple weeks ago. Worked out great. Do an off-the-record meeting. Invite a couple people in. Just have a little chit-chat. Straighten some things out. Say, hey, you know what? You don't know, maybe even lay down you never know who we're going to have tapes on, so you may be careful about what you say and where you say it. Everything's going to go great. Awesome. Put the press releases out, and everyone walks in and literally gives them the two-finger salute.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that tell you that this administration's in serious trouble?
It does, but what I just got from that whole thing is Eric Holder's kind of in a room, right? Just comes in, right, taking his tie off, and then like all of a sudden the lights go up and there's standing Obama, just like Nick Fury, right? We haven't
Nick Fury.
Have you heard about the Denial Initiative? And then the screen goes blank, right? Like something out of a Marvel movie.
That's perfect.
You like it?
No, and then I have
listen, in the Denial Initiative, we have the Attorney General, and we have the IRS. Are you in?
in or out right now.
And the State Department. Listen, it's...
If you're in, you're all set. If you're out, we'll ruin you. But I just picture, sadly, when I was reading this, I picture Holder, like, in this conference room with, like, the like an apron on.
I'm still picturing Obama in a Nick Fury outfit with an eye patch and a leather jacket.
Smoking a butt.
Right, with a popped collar. I mean...
popped collar. But I just picture, like, Holder is just, like, setting up for this tea party or this house party. He's getting hors d'oeuvres out, and he's like...
Why would he set up for a tea party?
Listen, follow me on this. I'm just telling you, why would he set up for a tea party? He already set up the tea party.
That's what I mean.
But I'm just saying, this is, as I was reading this is what I was picturing. In my head, for whatever reason, my sick little mind is like, I picture Holder with, like, in the pink and blue striped apron, like putting out finger sandwiches, and this is going to be great, and we're just going to really get together and fix some things, and the phone rings, and what do you mean you're not coming? But I got finger sandwiches ready. I know ABC and Politico are coming, but they're not the fun ones. You know you're my best friend. I thought we'd do 7 minutes in heaven. I don't know why, but that's really where I went with that.
But I vacuumed.
No, I didn't say he was a 21-year-old frat guy having a girl over for the first time. That's different. That's.
Oh, come on, like you'd vacuum.
Oh, I did. Are you kidding me? Back in the day? Yeah. No, if we were having, my roommate and I were really good. If one of us was having a gal over, we used to go crazy cleaning that whole house because it was the only time it got cleaned. Right, you know? It didn't matter if it was January in Boston, the windows would be open, fans in, getting that funky 21-year-old guy smell out. You know? Right. We were just taking...
Hey, if she can hang with that, she's a keeper.
We'd empty the trash can out and put our dirty clothes in the trash can and bring it to the line.
I like how you just made the gesture of, like, dumping it out the window, like you're in Korea or something.
But to prove my point, that means we do vacuum. So don't go there.
You didn't prove your point. You told a story. I have no idea if it's true or not. Listen, Eric Holder, stop sidestepping and misleading.
Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't have and gone.
So, but getting back on point, I love.
Good luck with that.
I love when we rant on the show. But getting back on point, do you think that they're now going to really start targeting media? I think this is a big slap in the face for this administration. I think this administration sees this as an insult, and they won't ever come out and say it. Listen, Carney's not going to march out there and go, you have a lot of nerve standing up our Attorney General.
You know what? I think
when the mob boss makes a call, you better show up. He's not going to say that. But I think you're going to start seeing the ones that said no being pushed out a little bit. I
don't think they can. They can't do it.
Sure they can.
I don't think they can. You can't do that to the entire media.
ABC gets a really good inside scoop that's pro-Obama in the next 2 months.
That may be true, but I don't think they can push the other one out. But that made me think of something. Hey, do you think when Obama, before he flew over to the Jersey shore, he said, "Hey, Governor, leave the gun, take the cannoli."
You know how many times I've said that to people in random situations?
And what do?
They just look. They either get the reference immediately,
right?
Or they look at you like you're insane. And I've done that. Like I've done that to delivery drivers. Because I tell you all the time, I like to screw with people because it's fun to me. Where they'd walk up and that you do the exchange, you look at them and go, "Hey, take the gun, leave the gun, take the cannolis." And then just turn around and shut the door behind me. For the rest of the night, that guy's trying to figure out what the hell I was talking about. Because if he didn't get the Godfather joke right off the bat...
He was on a smartphone Googling.
No, this is... I used to do this a long time ago. Before they had smartphones.
Last week?
I had a Razor. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was pretty cool. It flipped in the middle.
Okay. The flip phone.
Still got it. But I feel that there will be some sort of retribution towards the media on this to a lot of people. And maybe not MSNBC and NBC, maybe not that crowd because it's too big, but I think a lot of the smaller independent and or conservative... Like Sackheads Radio, we'll never get invited again.
No, we'll never get invited, period.
And we blew it on this one. We got the invite.
Big time.
And, I want to know how come our invite came out 3 days after the other guys got their invite. It's almost like they said no, and he's like, well, I got to have somebody at this party, and resent out. I mean, that's just not right. What?
Wait, we got invited? Oh, dude, let's go.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought... No, we were having a party local. Oh, the Holder thing? No, he wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole.
No, we scare him.
The only time that he would do that is if we had Biden in the house.
I still picture Obama as Nick Fury. That's so great.
That might be the... I wonder...
Obama Fury.
I wonder if Sacco can do a little photo editing for us and get Obama's head with the eye patch on Nick Fury. That might be worth it.
Is it Barack Fury?
Barack Fury.
Or Nick Obama?
Nick Obama.
Or Obama Fury.
Obama Fury. That's a good one, Obama Fury.
It is, because that's a double entendre.
Absolutely.
Right? Because he holds a grudge.
I think we're starting to see that more and more as we go on, that the grudge is really being held. It amazes me. Sacco's in the chat room. He said, give me 20 minutes and I'll get the eye patch. So it's going to be done, folks. We'll put it up on the website for this week's show. Outstanding. Look at that. Look at the power we have. We ask and it gets done.
Well, that's just a testament to how awesome Sacco is.
It really is.
We have the best sound. We have the best sound guy in Sackheads Radio. I mean, we really do.
We do, absolutely. Out of all the sound guys that work here, Sacco is by far the desk.
No.
So much so that we got him a new desk.
We did.
And I can't wait to have him at it and doing his hard work there at the desk. So,
Sacco, before you do it, just make sure there's no copyright infringement. We're gonna have to put something up some kind of reference. Some kind of reference, like
Obama Fury.
Yeah, something remember the scene in Iron Man, the end of Iron Man, when when Tony Stark comes in.
You're overthinking this.
No. I think it would be great. Just follow me on it, right? It's like Eric Holder coming in, and he's taking off the Iron Man mask or the tie or whatever, and there's Obama Fury. Just right there.
Obama Fury.
Okay, Sacco, or just a picture of Obama Fury with we need to talk about the Denial Initiative.
The Denial Initiative. That would be perfectly.
And then I think people would get the reference.
That may be the new title of this show now. Oh, man, I hate when you do that halfway through the show.
It's not halfway through. It's almost the end.
Oh, good. Then I love it when you do it now. So that's going to be interesting to see as we go down the line, which way how certain members of the media will be treated here on out. Listen, they've already shown that they're not afraid to go after the media, and I kind of wonder if that's going to be their way. It's either going to undo them, as we talked about before. I think the media scandal will be so big that he can't dodge it, or it's going to go away so fast that they're just going to do it more and more because they've ducked it. And that's where I'm interested to see. And if they do get hung up on this, and I really personally believe that it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think that
the media thing, not the IRS thing. I think it's going to be the IRS thing.
But I think that the media thing is going to draw attention to the other things, because now instead of it just being, hey, you know what, we're going after them about Benghazi, and all they're doing is trumping up these false old statements about blah 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 blah, and it didn't happen that way, and we all know that he said terror. But this adds clout to it, because now you have them targeting the press, which is the guardian of the republic. It's such a big deal, and when they get targeted, I think even the average person who may or may not have been an Obama voter, who is not pays attention like we do in some ways, I think they look at that and go, hey, something is going on with this administration. Now I need to pay attention, because maybe I did miss a thing or two in the past, and they're going to start looking into it. I think that's going to unravel a lot, and I think that by the end of this year, you're going to see a lot of people jumping ship from the Democratic Party, at least while he is there. And that's just a prediction on my behalf, but that I think this AP thing.
I don't know, because I think the Democrats are doing a decent job of insulating themselves as far as how they're conducting themselves in the hearing. I really do, and obviously I believe they're doing it for political reasons. Some of them may be genuinely outraged and think that this is genuinely wrong. I believe there are some like that. I believe there are some that could really care less, and that believe that kind of behavior is okay, and I think they're doing it for political reasons.
I was going to say, I think there's some that finds that totally acceptable. Hey, you know what? That's what they get for being part of the media.
Right, but or being conservative or whatever it is, those conservatives are driving this country down the toilet. Whatever their justification is, but there are some that may be doing it for the right reasons, and I think they have to, because I think that they know that they could be in trouble come midterms. Now, one thing the Republicans do have a history of is going early. They have a history of overplaying their hand way too early. Right. I mean, look at Clinton. The Republicans had Clinton on the ropes during that whole scandal, and then Kenneth Starr came in, and they kept hammering, and it went too far. And at some point, the public said, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. We know he got a blowjob. He lied about a blowjob. You know, I would lie about a blowjob too, and big deal. Yeah, you get him on perjury. But it went too far to a point where people got sick of it and said, hey, you're just witch hunting now.
See, but I don't even know if it's the witch hunting as much as I'm just sick of hearing about this. So if we stop paying attention, it goes away and I don't have to hear about it anymore. And I think it became more of an inconvenience for a lot of people. Like, this is on the news again? Gosh, I don't want to see that again. And you're right, the Republicans have done that historically. And the other thing that they don't do that I hope they start doing more is they don't necessarily, quote-unquote, go for the jugular. They don't hit hard. They're starting to now. You have Trey Gowdy who's hitting hard. Darrell Weiss is hitting hard. So you're starting to see you have Rand Paul out there who's hitting hard. But you're starting to see more and more aggressive conservatives, and that really needs to happen in this party for it to continue, because the Democrats are way ahead of us in that. You know, they're not afraid to put anything out there, and they don't have gentleman rules, if you will, like they used to be back in the day of, hey, you know what, you can go after him for his policies, but don't bring up something that his little brother did 5 years ago that he had no knowledge about and turn that into a front page thing. Whereas now they'll do that.
Yeah.
You know, they don't care who they have to march out, who they have to put on that spit and spin them and sacrifice them. They will do it, and that's something that the conservatives need to take a page from them and say, hey, you know what, we need to go full bore. I know we're supposed to be, and I know we are the party of values, or we're the side of values, but we have to fight fire with fire, so to speak, and as long as it's not fabricated, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them using this for the midterms, but not blowing it all on the midterms. Don't blow it all on the midterms. Save some of it for the general election 2 years later, because that's kind of a big one too. And, you know, it's going to be either Hillary or Joe that we're going to be up against. The road is long. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So be intelligent about how we use it, but don't do the whole, we're going to pull our punches and hope that people identify with us. That's something that the Republicans haven't done well and the conservatives have not done well over the last 8 years, is getting people to identify with them. And part of the reason is they do pull punches. Because I think there are a lot of people out there that the conservatives really started to draw the BS, the progressives, and they lay it out in layman's term, like, hey, you know what? Whether you like it or not, Obamacare is a humongous infringement on your rights, and they're starting to control you. And let me show you where they're going to control you, and it's all a power issue. It has nothing to do with your health. It has to do with how they can control.
But they did come out and try that, and the left said, no, this is about hearts and minds.
But this is before
people,
AP. This
right?
is before Benghazi. That was
They have to be careful not to overplay their hand. They really do, because even though what's his latest approval-disapproval rating? It's like 40-something percent, both numbers. At 43, 47. I mean, it's still more disapprove than approve, but they're both within the 40s.
Right.
So
that's a little swing. That's not a big swing.
It's not a big swing. So I think the Republicans have to be very, very careful. And look, you have to be very careful about implementing him directly also. Look, we know the White House knew, but how much did the president himself know? How insulated was it? And we don't know. And and to be fair, we don't know. Look, we suspect.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely ludicrous to believe that the president didn't know. I really did. I mean, he would have to be so out to lunch that not to know this stuff.
So I believe always be behind the White House shed smoking a cigarette.
Right. I believe
which I'm
he knew.
sure now he does all the time.
But I am not in favor of, and this may get me some hits, I am not in favor of Republicans in a partisan manner going after or looking only for evidence that implements the president.
Right.
I think you need to
follow to look at the totality of facts.
You need to follow the facts, only the facts, and take it where it goes. It's kind of like how you see on these crime shows, or not like real crime shows where they talk about like another 48 is one, like homicide, right? Where they know who the killer is,
but they have to prove it.
But they can't prove it, or they don't. And so, you know what? That's part of our
Did
legal
you just call
system.
the president a killer?
No. Stop. But
I'm
you know
sure
what
that
saying.
reference will be made at some point, too.
I'm sure it will, too.
No,
but you have to go
with
where the evidence takes you, and even though you may have an idea, you can speculate, you can think, you don't want to make that leap to that's unreasonable.
But if you're the
stretches.
conservatives...
That makes sense?
Yes, but if you're the conservatives and you're doing things like requesting emails and the State Department says no and ignores your subpoena, it's really hard to get all those absolute hard evidence because you know they're holding it back. Look at Fast and the Furious. How much got held back from Fast and the Furious? The executive privilege was invoked. I think Fast and the Furious, with that Stonewall, insulated the president from what, and we may never know. I'm sure we will once he gets out of office and it's too far down the line to do anything about it. But I personally believe that the reason that was all held back is because the president did know what was going on. You know, and instead of just coming out and saying...
But we don't know that right now.
No. But what I said is I believe...
Okay.
But I believe that is why they were held back. That information was held back. Just like I agree in Benghazi.
Or they're still trying to protect Hillary because they think she might run in 2016.
Quite possibly. And she was State Department head. Who knows? But you also look at Benghazi, same thing. Yeah, we got it. We're just going to ignore it. Oh, okay. So you're just going to completely ignore a congressional subpoena. Yep, because what's in there is too damning. So, you know, I agree that you have to hit all the facts, but what do you do when they stop?
When is this president going to claim executive privilege?
Oh. Let's see. What month is it?
I mean, at some point, depending on where this investigation goes, and I'm wondering if they even do it at that, if they'll do it even at the State Department level. Hey, you know what? Executive privilege. We need to be able to talk to the president and have him be unbiased or untainted and blah blah blah.
I almost absolutely believe that that's going to happen at some point, and I also believe that there's already a pardon sitting there with Holder's name on it, just waiting to be signed. I think that at some point there will be criminal charges brought against him.
You think so?
I think that.
Who's going to prosecute him?
I think the president's going to have to fire him at some point. I think he's going to have no choice.
Or Holder will have to step down.
Either way. And
you know what I hope?
And then they will move.
I hope his ego is so big that he doesn't.
I hope so too. I hope he's like Shyster. And just goes there.
I think he is. There's no doubt.
I think his ego's that big too, but I'm sure at some point
and when he goes,
somebody's from the administration is going to step in and say, I understand that you don't want to do this, but this isn't about you. We need to save the White House. We need to save the Senate. We need to gain seats in the House. So you are going to go away, whether you want to or not.
You know what's screwed up about that whole scenario you just presented? Not one thing you mentioned, and I understand why you're saying it, but not one thing you mentioned was, you know what? You need to do what's right for the country.
Yeah.
You screwed up.
But I
Y,
just don't
Z.
ever believe that's going to come out of his mouth.
I don't either, which is a shame.
It is an absolute shame, and we've said that time and time again.
We have, and we've said this time and time again also, if this administration does that, not just this is terrible, that's lip service, but take action.
Don't slap him on the hand. Don't put him on administrative leave like you did Lois Lerner. You come out and say, hey,
I believe that's
a
union issue.
I don't care.
I don't either. I'm just saying.
If I was the
he's
president,
not going to go against the union.
If I was the president, I would absolutely turn around and fire her. Well, we have the union. Good. We'll have them take it to court. Fire her now.
Mm-hmm.
This is unacceptable. I will not have this in my administration.
Right.
For the guy who's...
I would respect the guy a lot.
I would too, but it's not going to happen.
No way.
For the guy that screams transparency, he lives in a complete smokescreen. You know, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be insulated from him. I think that it's going to be next to impossible to prove unless you get that quote-unquote smoking gun.
Mm-hmm.
You have that one person who's going to testify, you know, and it could be Hillary, as Rooster has pointed out a long time ago. It may be Hillary who comes out and says, you know what, he knew more than he said he did. Yeah, screw you, I want to get elected. And I got to save face now or I'm going to lose it forever. And you know what, by the way, Joe might have known a little something too, so that's the guy I'd have to run against.
And then Joe would be like, he'd look up with the slinky in the corner and say, huh? What I know?
The big lollipop hanging out of his mouth.
Right.
What do you mean? I didn't know anything. I need new batteries for my PlayStation. Like, just...
batteries for my PlayStation. But hey, you guys see this handheld football game? Look at this little blip. Move the arrow up and down.
Isn't that amazing? Check out my phone. You can see boobs right on it. It's the coolest thing ever. Hillary, come here.
Are these yours? These look like yours.
Put yours on this phone right now. So before we close out the show, Sacco says if you go to sackheadsradio.com in about 30 seconds, you'll be able to see Obama Fury. So ask and you shall receive.
With the initiative.
With the initiative, hopefully the
denial initiative.
He may not have the text up yet. He had to get it up pretty quick. So
all right.
We'll go and see. Hey, we're off tomorrow night. We will be back next Friday, our usual time. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to be moving studios to a bigger and super.
Really? I didn't think we were going to announce that until we actually officially moved into Studio 2.
I want to build it up for a month, so when we put the pictures out, people are like, ooh, ah. I was going for the...
Yeah, they'll be like, ooh, why is there graffiti? And that looks like a men's room. That's weird.
I can't believe they fit all three of them in that stall. Check us out, sackheadsradio.com. Submit your own Dare Joe Biden. Go to facebook.com/sackheadsradio and Twitter @sackheads. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, wait, hang on. No, Mary, this is not a recording.
Oh, no, this is certainly not a recording.
This is not a recording.
I'll prove it to you right now. Boo. All right. That proves it. We'll see you next week, folks. For Clint, Sean, and Sacco.